start doing our update again, developing our short film.
Yes. Since our last video, I've done precisely squat with it, but that's not true because we have made some connections for people who might want to assist us.
Yes, quite a few people actually. I have.
All right, so okay, go for it.
I have ideas. Before we started the video today, I was trying to get through one of our previous videos to like get in the headspace again.
Yeah.
And I couldn't finish it because I just ended up having more ideas. I'll just read them off now. First one is just a shot idea, but it's a recurring shot idea. So this would be throughout the movie.
So we would set up an iconic shot and then have variations of it
Yes.
throughout to have some thematic thing
Yes.
happening.
Yes. So several shots where it goes from her perspective, the camera shows what she's experiencing, to an outside perspective, doubling as a perspective change that she really is alone, and at a second viewing it can be seen as the stalker, evil, handsome guy's perspective.
Is the camera fixed or is it moving?
I am about to read the camera shot version because I got the idea, and then I have the attempted camera description of what is happening. So that way you can visualize it a bit better. An example is a close-up of her in her apartment on her bed, on her computer, and we can see her being very interested in her research. Then we cut to her far away from inside her closet, where the borders of the closet doors are dark, showing her isolation, and also that the stalker guy might be in there. But you can't tell at first unless you're rewatching it. So it's not like the camera's shaking or anything, it's just a different perspective. The other one was a close-up of her at the library, going from her closing a book that she was studying for school, and then panning to her and her computer. Then we see her from far away through the walkway between two bookshelves from far away. I don't know if you've seen those where like the bookshelves are lined up like this and then there's a walkway in between. So like you're looking through the bookshelves but not like between the books, you know? And you can just see her...
The two aisles of books?
Yeah.
And then down...
Yeah. You can just see her from far away, and like the borders kind of show like empty space around her. The other idea that I had was maybe... You brought up like a scene of her being isolated at a church at one point, and at first I was like, yeah, I don't think she'd go to church, but then I was like, well, what if we like played on that? So I thought maybe her mom made a deal with her that she will pay for her apartment and schooling so long as she goes to the mom's church. And said, and she isolates there as well. She comes to the church, and at the end, she comes back when she's trying to socialize more. So here's the attempted description of the shots. She's at her apartment. She gets a text from mom saying something like, "Don't forget church today, you promised." Next, she's at the church, and her mom pats her hand beside her. She saved her a seat. Main character walks away with her laptop, sits in the back, puts her headphones on, and continues her doom scroll. She is in the far corner of the shot, quite a few feet away from others there.
So she's physically attending church, but she's not paying attention.
Yeah. And then next, clearly after the sermon, she's on the far corner of the shot still. Her mother walks in and takes up the space next to her. Close-up switches from the mother's side to hers as they speak. Her mother says, "You know I'm not forcing you to come here." And the main character argues that she never would have paid for her school or the apartment if she didn't come. And her mom corrects her, saying that she offered to pay for it, with the only condition be that she comes to church. So there's a flip in perspective there. It ends with the main character quietly fuming and walking away, leaving her mom in the far corner of the shot where she used to be. After practically the whole plot happens, the weird guy asks the main character if the main character wants to get out of her shell and socialize more, then what place would be the hardest so they can knock it out first? And cut to the next scene where they're dressed very nicely, nicer than they've ever been seen in the whole movie, and they're at church.
Because that's the more difficult
Yeah.
place for them to socialize.
Yeah.
They're challenging themselves.
Yeah.
So that they both get out of their isolatedness.
Yes.
Also, lots of flurries of ideas.
Yes. But I don't know, I was just... I realized that we could, like, hone what was already there.
No, when I was explaining the short film idea that I wanted to do, because last Thursday I went to a meetup with people who work in nonfiction and documentaries. Okay. Wouldn't you know it, I stumbled upon young women who like true crime stories about serial killers. But only if they're attractive. Can't have any ugly serial killers because that's not interesting.
All of a sudden what you're doing is horrible.
That's right. Because you're not a charming rogue who packs people up and puts them in Ziploc bags. But my thing that I was trying to impress on them is that I don't want the reveal to be the point of the movie. I want us to already know.
That he's the...
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was thinking about that one shot that you had developed where the point of view of the webcam of her when she makes her video blog, and then she hears something and then she leaves frame and all you do is hear what happens.
Yeah.
I think it's much more rewarding for the audience to be in on what's going to happen, but because they know what's going to happen, there's tension there. And one of the guys there who might even love movies more than me, when I told him what I wanted to do, instead of it being the twist, because short film syndrome or student film syndrome,
Yeah.
this twist is so amazing that I want the audience to already know. But then they're on the ride for when it does actually happen. And he goes, ooh, that's Hitchcockian. And I was
Nice.
like, I like that. Not that I could ever possibly approach his, and you still have to watch many more Hitchcock movies. But it is, if the audience knows more than the character, you make sure that they're always ahead, but not too far ahead. Because there's the thing that they're going to be interested in is how it actually comes to pass, which means that your plot mechanisms have to be very well crafted. Hence the space there, because there's nothing well crafted yet. But yeah, I do think in shots, I think of this girl in the storyboards that you already had, of being alone and all the rest of that stuff. But I saw recently the movie F1, but they had a couple moments in there that weren't action moments; they were dramatic moments. And they were full IMAX, but they had a character, one person in the frame, and they were all in focus, but behind them was all out of focus. And we've seen that before. That's called bokeh or bokeh. It's this weird term for how blurry the background is. Like you've got your dots for lights that are in the background, like how blurry those are and the size and the dimensions of those. It's like the best way I can explain it. But this one was slightly different. It seemed like they used this particular lens that I was looking up a few weeks ago, where the person was in focus, their whole it's like an IMAX camera, it's like right there. And everything else is out of focus, but it sort of had like a roundness to the fall off of focus around them. It gradiated the focus away from them. And what caught me about that was, I think about that being a perception, something that you would have, because I think what happened in it was that someone got into an accident, and that's when they were looking at someone who was checking if they were okay, like that's their perception. And I just kind of felt like something in that could be for this film, something that really draws your attention to their face, because it's, close-ups are going to have to be the thing, because if she's isolated, then there's this weird voyeuristic thing where she's looking at everybody else, and then we're the audience looking at her, and so the actress is going to have to be pretty vulnerable to have the camera be like there. She's going to have to really be okay with being completely vulnerable with a lens in her face. I just thought of that as a stylistic thing, thinking in shots. So we've got her researching all this stuff, and then we have her going to class. We have her going...
I think it's the one class, right?
The one class.
Yeah.
We have her going to her apartment. We have her going to this church. So that's 3 locations.
Yeah, and it kind of sets up what her story is, which is she's living isolated.
Alright, well this isn't a silent movie, so she's got to have some dialogue.
I think that other people will have more dialogue than she will. To be honest, that can probably say more about her, that she's not saying anything.
Yeah. If there's not a lot happening, then you need to make ordinary life seem threatening. We as the audience know that there's impending doom coming, you know.
Yeah.
So just like you said, like an ordinary room can be comforting or terrifying depending on the lighting.
Yes.
Kind of going back to your shot that would repeat, you know, where she would be, I don't know, maybe she's OCD and she puts her toothbrush down at a certain place every time.
Yeah, I think we were talking about the water bottle.
Yeah.
Like she would reach for it and it wasn't there when she reached for it.
Right. Let's start going through plot stuff. So the audience knows who the killer is.
Yeah.
They have to.
Yeah, but the way that we reveal that will probably be important. I was actually wondering if we should like kind of show that with the video camcorder thing where she like goes off screen
Yeah.
and like we see a glimpse of something or someone like peeking through the window behind her or something. I don't know. But like, or maybe he's in the room and like we see someone leave her room.
Like that old horror movie. Where's the call coming from? It's coming from inside the house.
But yeah, I was wondering if she goes off to see what that sound was. She's off screen and we hear her like walk away, and then we just see someone open the window, climb out, and then close it.
Yeah, and we see all that in a fixed frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so let's go over the barest wisp of a plot so that I can actually have something to build on for the treatment. Typing's boring and this is a video, so.
I'm not saying we have to like type out the whole thing. I'm talking about like timeline. Like I could grab some sticky notes.
Okay, let's talk about your lovely new favorite word, timeline.
Yeah, if we have a general sense of how we want to space things out, then we know what to cut and stuff. Like, for instance, we want reoccurring things such as her using the blog camcorder and her having her isolation scenes where it's from close up and then from afar. Then we just need to find out what it is we're spacing out and for how long. I personally think that we would have her doing a blog after something happens in the plot. So we get a general sense of her life, and then she's recording herself. And then she has the talk with her mom, and then she's recording herself. Bumps into the dudes, and then she's recording herself. And then we get her thoughts each time. And then you were talking about interviews after the fact.
Yes.
So that would come before the blog. As the plot progresses, when a plot thing happens, then we get to see another part of the interview, and then we see another part of the plot.
So we're cutting bits out of each one relevant to that section of the plot.
Yes.
Okay.
So then we have like a rhythm going.
And then that sets up audience expectations, so they kind of know the rules of this movie.
Yeah.
You know, so it helps them settle into a routine.
Yeah.
Similar to our character.
Yeah, there we go.
But then we upend it
Yes.
at some point.
Yeah.
To piss them off, rattle them. And
We get less and less interviews over time.
I like that very much.
Hey, cool. That was wimpy. It's very good. Why did you do it?
I don't know. I was overcompensating.
I got a small hand.
All right.
It's really small.
Let's try.
That is good, yeah. It's manageable. I gotta make up for my wimpy one.
By breaking her hand.
So I think that we start with her routine. Here's my awful handwriting. And then we do log, and I'm just gonna go int. We're gonna know that's interview.
I'm already thinking of film stocks.
I don't know what that means.
It's the look of the different shots. Like the one from our video screen will be in one thing. The one from the actual narrative of us following her around is another one. The other one from the interview is another look. So I'm already just like thinking of what those look like. Okay, continue.
After the routine, did you want to have the scene with her mom so that way we like get more integrated into her life? Maybe we have like a scene where she's in class.
I'm not sure where we go with the mom character after that, whether or not we should actually physically show her or whether that's just a condition like we hear a phone call because she's isolated and alone from everyone.
Yeah.
You know, whether or not we actually see her mom or not, because her mom being in the movie has to pay off for some reason.
That's fair. Or maybe she doesn't have that talk with her mom and then it ends up being a text conversation.
I think that's more appropriate.
Alright, so text mom.
Because that's from her perspective anyway, and that's how a lot of people that age would perceive that conversation.
Yeah.
Like you're not having a conversation, you're relating information and
Yeah.
you're keeping your distance.
Yeah. So text mom int vlog, and then I'm thinking one of her in class, so we enter her teacher. We have at least the most minor of introductions to the teacher lady.
What's the class on again? Is it criminal psychology?
We never specified what she's doing, but we do know that it was whatever skill she had, she was going to use it later.
Yes.
But we didn't specify what that skill was. I think you said filing a couple of times, but I wasn't sure if we were like set on that.
Like that's a job she has, or that's what her future career would be?
Well, she doesn't know that's going to be her job. She just is studying something for something else, maybe something she's not even interested in. We didn't talk about that part of her life at all, but whatever the skill was, that it would pay off later. I think that if we want to like go from routine to more plot, then maybe the teacher online thing can happen, and then she bumps into the guys, and then we do another vlog thing. Would that be good?
Yep. Yeah, what I'm finding interesting about this short film is that because it's not inherently my idea, the documentary is, and then the narrative film based on the documentary is. But the short film, I'm appreciating that it's collaboration because I don't necessarily have some passionate feeling about making the short film, I have to be honest. But once ideas start developing, then I get a little more into it because I've got something to play with. You are more easily able to originate ideas. It doesn't mean I can't. It just doesn't happen as quickly to me as it does with you.
Yeah.
But once you have something on there, then I can look at it and be like, yes, that works, no, that doesn't. And that's helpful to me. So thank you for being you.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah.
So, how's this looking so far?
You have terrible handwriting.
I literally started out writing down, and I said my handwriting is terrible. I know my handwriting's terrible. Int vlog. Int
Okay.
vlog. Int vlog.
Thank you for telling me what that is. Guys,
Intro.
intro,
Yes.
not Insta.
No. Then what do you think should happen next? Because we were trying to develop what was going on between the two guys. The idea that we had was that the weird guy knows more than she does. It's kind of implied he knows that the other guy's the killer.
Yeah.
And I think there was one scene we were talking about where she meets them individually. When she meets them together,
They get weird.
they get weird. We never specified what, but for some reason the weird guy can't tell her that's the killer. I'd like to figure out how. My thought, maybe his sister was one of the victims, and he doesn't have proof. And because he's isolated like she is, he doesn't want to like give it away or something like that. Like he needs to get proof, and he doesn't trust anyone to like help him.
That's a very interesting idea because that gives him emotional stakes. It's not just because he's romantically interested in her,
Yeah.
although why wouldn't he be? It's because he fears the same thing would happen to her.
Yeah, he's having that like almost like flashbacks. Not like we're seeing his flashbacks, but like internally he would be having them.
Maybe the true bad guy is either in school or in graduate school for becoming an attorney. So he'd really know the law. The supposedly creepy guy can't accuse him openly because, I don't know, it's just a thought. I'm just trying to think of a justification for why he can't tell her that.
Well, if he's just as isolated as she is, he wouldn't want to tell her.
She wouldn't believe him, and she's already interested in this guy, and she would think it's like some desperate attempt for him to like...
Yeah, pretty much.
To get her to like him.
Well, like, he would want to tell her immediately, and he probably didn't know that, like, she knew the guy. And then when they're all together, when things get weird, he's, like, seeing what's going on, and he's like, I need to tell her. He realizes, like, what situation is going on, and he, like, can't go against it, I guess.
Maybe it's that she goes to a certain place on campus at a certain time. Creepy guy. That is not the bad guy. He finally wants to get up the courage to talk with her, and so she goes to a certain place, and then he notices the time, and so like he goes and goes to try to meet up with her. This is the most annoying alarm in the world. And then when he's there, he wants to trying to talk with her.
Rambling, probably.
And then the real killer shows up, and then she's interested in him. And
Well, I think the thing that was going on was that he was flirting with her, and she doesn't mind it because he's hot. Because, like, she wants to be isolated too, so she doesn't really want to jump into anything. Because she just wants to be in her own little world. But if an attractive guy wants to walk in, you know, it's like, I don't think she's actively pursuing the other guy. Or either of them, actually.
well, so we've got. I'm just trying to think of like the meat of it because.
Well, as you know, I am a character person. I like to look at what their goals are. And I think that the most important goal is actually from the weird guy. We need to find out exactly what he is up against in order for the plot to continue, because he indirectly is what is driving it. We're kind of along for the ride with the main character, but she's not necessarily what's driving the plot.
Interesting.
Because she's just going about her life being oblivious to how lonely she is, how she is being stalked, all of this stuff. The guy that knows what's going on is the weird guy. So we kind of agreed that it would be a good idea for him to have lost his sister. He wants to avenge them. We need to develop what the reason is that he can't tell her, or can't tell her yet. He could literally be threatened by that guy. It could be that nobody believes him. Like even his family members are like, no, it couldn't have been him, which would also lead to his isolation, which would be interesting.
Yeah, some sort of restraining order on him to keep him away from the guy.
Or he could have done something in his past, too. Something that he's not proud of. And then he doesn't want to be found out for his thing, possibly. And maybe that's why he's, like, self-isolating.
Like if she were to do a Google search on him, that would come up.
Yeah, like, that's the reason why she would think that it was the weird guy.
It could work, though. That's helpful for the plot, because then it throws her off.
Yeah.
Because he could be involved in something. And it can't be that he's completely innocent of it.
No, like it would be something that he would be like, no, my hands aren't clean in this situation. I just don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. Dang it, we're going to have to write dialogue.
Well,
The bane
again,
of my existence.
we need to figure out what the forest is. You like to do the tree thing. We need to figure out what the forest is first before we get to the tree. So
That's true.
So you like the idea that he had a past.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the threat from the other guy is that it would be revealed.
So he's got dirt on him.
Yeah.
And he moved to a new place to go to college to get away from all of that, because that's all he's known for from where he was.
That could happen too. But I'm thinking if they're both in the same college area, I think he's following him. I think the weird guy is following the killer.
We've got a stalker.
We've got a very sad cat.
A
I've spent-
four-legged furry stalker.
I've spent all day with him. He cannot be complaining right now that I am in another room.
But he can hear you.
I like the idea that he's got dirt on him. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It also means that it's a lot harder for him to try to find evidence without things like getting messy. Guess we gotta think of how we would set that up here. So we have the guy's introduction. Do we want to immediately jump into her seeing them both at the same time, or do you want something else to happen?
No, there's got to be something that happens before that.
Oh wait, her teacher.
Right.
Her teacher dies. Oopsie
Plot
daisy.
twist.
Teacher death. Then the vlog can be about. Oh, he's determined.
Good lord. Velociraptor cat.
Velocicat. Then the vlog can be her talking about how she has to move classes. So I'm gonna do int and vlog about class transfer.
Now, under vlog, is she also talking about cases that she's following?
I think that she can ramble on a little bit about that,
But
but
that's not the point.
it's not the point. We want to show that she's kind of obsessive about it by like having glimpses of what she's looking at on her computer, but probably not for long. Maybe she's like writing stuff down of like stuff that she's interested in about it, because I don't know, people who are into this stuff like for some reason like to know what the patterns are with different serial killers, so they like will notice those patterns, and people who get obsessive about certain things will tend to like put stuff in categories about that thing. So if she's obsessive about this stuff and she's just like really, really into it, she might just start like writing lists for the fun of it. List of these criminals that all did the same thing for some reason. And list of different, I don't know, dumb ways to die. I don't know, just like different types of deaths or something like that. Like she would just be writing this stuff down for the heck of it because she's just really interested in it. So we don't have to necessarily even like make any horror scenes that she's looking at if we're just like getting the general idea of her just being obsessive about it. So she talks about the class transfer, and I think from there that's the first time we get to see her outside besides the church scene, I guess, because maybe from here we can like show another routine thing of like when she's outside more often and she doesn't want to be. So outside scenes. And the reason why I think that is because like everything beforehand is probably her just still in her room.
Yeah.
And the only reason that she went out was, like, I don't know, for groceries or something when she sees the guys. I don't know why that was always the thing that I was thinking of whenever she bumped into the guys, was that she dropped her groceries twice. She bumped into the handsome guy, and she dropped her groceries, and he helps her pick them up.
Right.
And he gets all flirty, and she's like, okay. You're cute, but I gotta go. And then she turns around, she's like flustered because of that all happened, and she bumps into the other guy. And then it gets weird because he's weird. So we got outside scenes, and then what should happen next?
We probably have to get outside of her and show what the bad guy's doing. Where's this all from her perspective?
I think it's mostly from her perspective, if not all from her
perspective. Because we as the audience have to know more than her.
Well, yeah, but that's what the interviews and vlogs are for. That one thing where we like see him go out the window. That's probably one that we want to figure out where we want to place that in the story, but I don't think we know quite yet. What I'm trying to figure out is when and where we know who the killer is. Because it can be during any one of these interviews, but I don't think that it should be during an interview. That's the thing. It feels weird to put it in the interview.
Well, I would put it in her, like we might...
I'm talking about the reveal, like they're going to talk about the guy being the killer, but...
Right. Well, I would think it would be in one of her personal vlogs where she would leave the frame and then we would see him. And that would be like a later one that she would make. Or maybe you could date it or something. Put a date stamp on there so you know that this happened later. Yeah. And so then we have a numerical countdown for when it's going to happen. But you have to see that it's clearly the handsome guy.
Yeah. I was wondering if we were going to put it in the vlog or if it was going to be something else. I don't feel content with just having that idea. I want to explore a little bit more there. Mm-hmm. To see if there's another way that we can reveal him, and then if none of those work, then we can go back to the vlog idea. But I feel like that needs a little more thought before we solidify that one.
I mean, what's her purpose? She's just going to school. Like she wants to graduate.
Yeah. She's not driving the plot, really. She's not going to drive the plot until she knows what's going on. I don't think in this situation that's necessarily a bad thing, because a lot of horror films are like that, where you're just like watching the person do their thing, and you're like, no, but don't do this very specific thing.
I guess that's true, but I just don't want her to be...
a passive protagonist?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, so it's a lot more setting up the tension of it then.
Yeah. Maybe we could have one scene where her AC isn't working and she needs to leave her window open in order to have like airflow. It would be kind of creepy if she was just like, you know what, I'm just for the hell of it because I really like all this serial killer stuff, I'm gonna leave a camcorder on while I'm sleeping, and then we get to see something actually happen.
It's weird.
That's not entirely weird. For some reason, there are some people who really like to do streams of them just sleeping.
You know, one time I was working at a place that did a lot of different shows. I wasn't quite gelling with the people who were running the post-production part of it.
Right.
I didn't know how they felt about me. And so I was going to use the bathroom, but I left my phone there, and I put it upside down and left it recording. Then I went to the bathroom, and then I came back, and I took my phone, and then later in the day, I listened to it, and they did talk about me. and I realized that these were not team players, to put it kindly.
Yeah, I'm for team players here. Like, if
But I wonder why that memory surfaced for me. I wonder if that's something that
she would do.
she would do.
That would be interesting. That would be really interesting, actually. Because we watched, I think it was Cloverfield. Like, they were recording everything.
Yeah.
If she did the exact same thing, but maybe, like, at her new class or something,
Yeah.
that would be interesting. We get an outside perspective. Some dialogue that's not her just being quiet. And we would get some idea of, like, what the world is outside of hers.
Yeah, because then they're filling in the dialogue and the soundscape.
She could do the same thing to the weird guy if she thinks that, like, he's doing something he's not supposed to. And then he could end up saying something that could have been incriminating but not.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, because she doesn't trust people, so she might want to safeguard herself by figuring out if they would reveal anything like that.
I can imagine that we hear it, we just, like, you know those, like, typical adjusting camera sounds where, like, and, like, it's just after we hear the conversation from the other people, and then it cuts to her, like, setting herself down. She's like, and that's why I don't trust people. And she's, like, not, like, paranoid about it, but she's just, like, straight up,
Yeah.
I don't.
My point has been proven.
We should probably write down, I'm gonna let you write down some of the, like, extra details and stuff we came up with, like, the guy's backstory, the vlog ideas and stuff like that. Because, again, your handwriting's better than mine. This was good. This was a lot of development. I really like this.
Okay. For any of you who are still awake, thank you.
Unlike him.
Yes. It's not like high energy,
No.
but these aren't our most popular videos anyway. They're mostly for our potential.
Yeah, and we're
Backers.
just recording ourselves
But
so
yeah.
that way we can have some, like, history of, like,
Yeah.
hey, this is how we develop stuff.
Because eventually this is going to be the raw material for the making of
Yeah.
the short film. Because we'll see how it developed and then we'll see what we actually come up with.
And we'll see how many people supported us in the beginning.
Was it you?
Was it you?
The untapped genius that this is.
There's a real untapped genius
That's
here.
right. But it's a start. It is a launch pad. One of the things that I do want to end with was when I was talking about the short film to the people at this nonfiction meetup. I said that I want either in the credits scene or the last cut scene at the end to have the next case that she's investigating be the one that the documentary is going to be about.
Ooh, I like that. And we don't have to reveal what that is quite yet.
That's right. I'm glad you liked that.
Thought that was cool.
Awesome.
Thought that was really cool.
All right. I'm going to try again. All right.
Yay! Not destroying hands.
All right. If for some reason you like this, please
Like,
Share,
and subscribe.
and subscribe.
And if you have any ideas for what we could use in our short film, we could actually use the feedback.
I don't care where the good idea comes from. It doesn't matter if I get the credit for it or not. Don't care. I just want a good idea.
Yeah.
With that,
Bye.